Elon Musk spent $44 million to find out the truth. And that just seems to me like something that so many people are overlooking in the midst of a lot of the political stuff or whatever. But Greg, I wanted to ask you, just what's your overall thoughts on Elon Musk from everything you're hearing, everything you're seeing, what you know about him with Tesla, X program, and now Twitter? Like, what's your general feeling about the man, Elon Musk?
Yeah, so I think anybody who's in business will look at an Elon Musk from a distance and just be impressed.
Yeah.
I think when I look at his story, he doesn't have the traditional story that, he was born in, on the east side of Chicago, or, he's not from this country. And I even took some time last year and dove in, he doesn't necessarily comes from a stellar home. I think his parents are divorced and never got the praise from his dad that he wanted, or, so all those kind of things. I understand that he has an incredible relationship with his mother, who is still living. And then when you delve into her, she's quite, a person herself, and some of the successes that she's had.
Well, can you tell us a couple of those? Because I've never heard about his mom's successes.
Gosh, I can't remember. I really can't. I know that.
No, that's fine.
I can't, but I know that she's been successful. I want to say she's had some success in the modeling world.
Okay.
Fact check me on that. But his dad was successful too, but just to kind of to give some air to the idea that, he's kind of a bootstrapped, somewhere along the lines, he just kind of went for it. I know that he has been, there's some, he's not autistic, but maybe Asperger's, and, but even he's overcome that, and he, goes for it. And so that's on his background. But when you look at him as a businessman, it is, I sometimes go like, are you for real?
Yeah.
Are you for real? Like, I was watching a podcast this last week, and he was talking, he goes, and he says, we're really, really close at developing some brain stuff to where, they can put this AI stuff in people's brain and it would just fix their blindness.
Yeah, I heard about
very
that.
Boldly, he said, I believe that one day we will cure blindness. And I'm like, what? Do you guys sit around and think like, ooh, let me think how I can cure blindness? I mean, like you're supposed to be a rocket and now a Twitter guy. So I don't know. He just thinks outside the box.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know he's been compared to other, like Thomas Edison and other great inventor, thinker type of people, Einstein, but I don't know. He lives in a different world. So now on the Twitter thing, Danny, I'm still looking at this because I'm not saying that he has a motive, but just think that he doesn't have a motive. He does. He's not going to come out and say my motive is, well, he might do that. But obviously for him to plop down the cash, I think it's a fun too. Because guys correct me if I'm right, he was one of the founders of PayPal. A lot of people don't realize that, and so that's a pretty big company,
So one of the things that I was thinking about last night, Greg, and Dave, I'll pass this. So last night I was thinking, okay, so all I keep hearing is like Twitter wasn't a great investment. Okay, so I know he has more than enough money. Money isn't the issue. But he spent $44 billion, and almost immediately he went in there and he said, this company isn't profitable. We have to lay people off. I need to create some type of revenue stream through subscriptions. So to me, when I look at that, and Dave, I'm going to pass this to you and see if I want to check my own thinking. So I'm going to give you permission to check my thinking. When you're in business, right, and you're making an acquisition, your purpose is either one, you think it can be profitable and you can make money off of it, or there's another motive. And it seems to me like Twitter was not one of those acquisitions where he looked at it and said, I'm going to be profitable. So am I right in thinking that there is another motive that's going on there, or am I just completely crazy and I'm a conspiracy theorist?
Well, I think there's a lot of space in between the two. So not going to jump quick to say that you're a conspiracy theorist.
Hey, listen, man. Some people might be like, "Well, you're just a conspiracy theorist."
Yeah, and look, that is the world that we live in. Generally, people are so quick to put one another in a box. Probably one of my greatest disappointments with our current society.
Yeah.
Because if we let's take Elon as an example, Danny, with what you just said, to remain curious with Elon and just say, "Huh, that's interesting." I wonder what he's going to do with that. I don't necessarily know that the world benefits from me having an opinion about Elon Musk. But what I do realize is that you are right. I mean, you don't buy a company unless A, you think it's going to be profitable, or B, you have another intended purpose.
Right.
Now, we could all speculate on what Elon's intended purpose is, because I don't know that. Look, if Twitter's going to be a profitable company, probably not anytime in the next couple of years. It's going to be a restructuring in a time period where, social media platforms have been pretty stagnant for a while. I would not be shocked to find out that perhaps one of his motives is to begin to change the face of how social media interacts with daily society.
Right.
And so I've taken the posture with Elon and Twitter of going, I don't necessarily care about other people's opinions. I've been very interested in the layoffs and what he's doing there. The fact he said he's actually sleeping at Twitter headquarters in San Francisco.
Right.
So there's some big things that are likely coming, because he does nothing small in life. And Greg, to fact check you, you are completely correct. His mother is both a model at the age of 70. She's still a model and a dietitian. She's pretty well known for her, her work in both of those areas. But getting back to what you said, Danny, no, I don't think you're, a conspiracy theorist, but I do think it's really interesting to go, I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder what he's going to do, and then to sit back and watch it unfold. Boy, it's going to be really hard. Everything that he does, everything that Elon Musk does, makes somebody really happy and somebody really mad, and that's one of the things I love about him.
And here's the reason I think the reason that is, David. Everybody wants to paint him, right? I said this last night on my TikTok. They want to act like he's on one side of the fence or the other.
Right.
I think the greatest thing about Elon right now is that he is an independent thinker. I don't think he's on anybody's side but the truth.
Yep.
And for the sake of society, he wants the truth to be out there. Greg, I want to ask you one follow-up question to this, and then we're gonna jump into your story here a little bit. What do you make of the fact that Elon and Apple had a little bit of a tiff last week, and then Elon goes and meets with Tim Cook, that's his name, right? Tim Cook, am I right on that?
The CEO, okay.
Yeah, the CEO. He goes and meets with him, and following that meeting, it appears that whatever was wrong has been patched up. Apple goes from removing ads to now being back fully supporting Twitter again. What would you read into that, if anything, from like the news of that all like happening and then the end result of Apple coming back to the table?
Well, let me back up. One thing that I do know, and Elon Musk has said, is that he is a champion of free speech.
Yeah.
He has said over and over again, I want Twitter to be the modern town square.
Yes.
He has said that, and I applaud him for that, because it's interesting that not to try to get into conservative liberal camps, but there are people who don't want Twitter to be, legit and transparent. That just blows me away. And then also, I felt jugulars, blood in my, when people were multi-million-dollar celebrities who didn't want to pay $8 a month to have the blue check mark.
Yeah.
I'd be like, really? I'm just like, I'm nobody, but I'll pay $8 a month to get an official blue check mark. What are these people? So he's obviously, I think you're right, Dan. He's tapping on, some people's, just their soft spots, their veins. He's just opening up because they don't, because he is who he is. So answer your question about Cook. I think probably the bottom line, my hunch on that is money. It's attached to money. I mean, when you're playing those type of circles, it's got to be all about the money. And if we fantasize for a moment if Twitter was taken off the Apple App Store, I think probably Elon Musk helped tip the discussional scale to the fact, do you know how many iPhone users you would tick off?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, because there may be some people who say, I don't care if I have access to it, but I think they really do care. Because think of how many people, companies, individuals in that technology culture have iPhones, and Twitter is their town square. They may not call it that, but it is their town square.
Yeah, I think that's this is really funny. So this is the power of Elon buying it. And my parents are now on Twitter, and they were never on Twitter before. My mother-in-law's on Twitter.
I got more active back on it now that Musk owns it. I've had an account for years.
Right. So there's people now, like everything that's happening, and even the fact that they're releasing stuff on Twitter, right? Everyone's going to Twitter to see everything that's being released. And what's really been fun is there has been more recently now the town hall discussions. Like, I love that. I love open discussion. I'm not one of those people who think that I'm always right, and I love having discussions and being able to hear other people's opinions. And it's the adage of iron sharpens iron. Like, I don't have it all figured out, and there are things that I need to be a little better in, and I can only do that either through talking with people or being in relationship with people. So I think that's been really amazing. Dave, did you have any final thoughts on this before we transition over to talking about Greg and his amazing story?
But I think we could jump into all kinds of speculations, but I would just say this. Greg said it well right at the beginning of this discussion. Elon he thinks on a level and a plane that the average person does not. And so I think it's pretty comical when people try to put Elon Musk in a box. And so it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this, particular chapter of his story unfold. He's a savvy businessman. He knows what he's doing.
And the dude is funny.
I know, yeah.
He is so funny and has incredible wit.
So, yep. I'm looking at this going this is, just going to be a fun social media ride. Let's do this.
Yeah. In the words of Russell Crowe from Gladiator, are you not entertained?
When I open up my Twitter, which now I open it up every day, the first thing I go see what Elon Musk has been tweeting. There was a recent tweet, his ex-wife, who bore him much of the kids that he has, said something about him, and he just did an emoji with the rolling eyes, like, what? And it was classic. And then, I don't know, he got a gazillion, comments and retweets just because he did an emoji.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you talking about, woman?
Well, those of you listening, feel free to join in on the discussion here. Leave us a comment on our YouTube or TikTok or wherever you're listening to this clip at. We'd love to know how you're feeling about this, and join in on the discussion with us. We don't have it all figured out, but maybe you have a theory or an inside track on what might be happening. We'd love to hear it. We'd even read it on the air on one of our future episodes. So feel free to leave a comment there.